What's good, guys? So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can implement flashcard and quiz functionality in your apps. And this is perfect for apps like educational apps, learning apps, business apps, personal apps. There's lots and lots of different apps that you can build where implementing this kind of functionality will make your app stand out and will provide more value to the user. Now, lots of people have been asking for this specific functionality, and I finally decided to go out and do it. Now, if you want to go out and actually view and clone the specific app that I'm about to build, as well as some of the previous apps that I've built before, you can do so from my Patreon page that you will be seeing in the description below, and definitely supporting me via that page is going to be very, very appreciated. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The idea for this app I got on this page called 10 Flutter app ideas that will make you money. And there are lots of good apps on the list. And if you scroll down to number 7, we have a language learning app. And so the idea for this app is we might have a splash screen, and then we're going to have a language selector screen, and then we're going to have various flashcards that will help people learn the language. Okay, so the overall diagram architecture for this app is going to look something like this. We have a login or register. We have a pick a language screen, and once they pick a language, they can go into flashcards. Okay, we're also going to have a language quiz, meaning that they're going to see a flashcard and they need to type what it means, what the word means, and then they can click on the flashcard and see if they pick the right, if they typed in the right translation or not. And then they're going to see the next flashcard. And then we're also going to have a profile. And we are going to have various kind of collections here. We're going to have the user collection automatically. It's going to be created because there's going to be a login and a registration. So we're going to have the user collection. We're going to have a languages collection, which is going to be a list of languages that we support. So it's going to be a name of the language. Also the flag, because I kind of like this layout. The flag followed by the name of the language. And then we're going to have a sub-collection of languages. They are the individual flashcards. And basically, this is going to be a sub-collection or a combine of two fields, containing two fields, the English word and the foreign word. The foreign word will depend on where exactly are we at, like which language we are talking about. So if this is a sub-collection of Spanish, it's going to be Spanish, English word, Spanish word. If it's Portuguese, English word, Portuguese. And that is the overall kind of architecture that we are going for. Now, I went ahead and created the Firebase Firestore database here and filled it out with the information to get us started. So we have users here, and now users is going to be created automatically inside the app. The only thing we need to add for users is the scene flashcard. So when they're doing a quiz, we can track of the flashcards that they've seen. So we do not need to show those flashcards again. And I'm going to make it all very, very easy to understand as we start building the app. So users is going to be built automatically by FlutterFlow. Now, here's the languages collection, okay? We have the languages. We have 4 languages. So we have French, we have Spanish, we have German, and we have Portuguese. Inside of Spanish, we have a sub-collection of flashcards, and I have 4 words here. We have to call, we have table, we have street, and we have please, okay? And I also have a sub-collection for Portuguese. So there's Portuguese, we have flashcards. I also have 4 words. We have people, we have to do, we have to call, and we have street, okay? So that is the data we have inside of our app. And now that you've seen the architecture, let's go ahead and start building the app. So we are going to be calling it Flashcards app. Okay, we're going to say create new. We are going to say we're going to set up Firebase. So we need to enter our Firebase project ID, which you can get by clicking on this gear icon. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up. I'm going to hit auto generate config files. We're going to enable authentication, and we're going to create the user collection, okay? So it's asking us to select the initial pages. This is going to be our login page. We can simply click on it, and we want to just call it login. And I always pick this page here because it has a sign in and a sign up flow. We're going to say use my theme. And then we have the logged in page. So the logged in page is going to be this page right here. It's going to be this pick a language page, okay? We're going to go in here. We're going to say logged in page. And we are going to create a blank page. It's going to be a very, very simple page. And we're going to call it home page. Create new. Okay, so now we have the pages. We can start building. And if we come in here, we have the login page and the home page. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to do a little bit of house cleaning, some bookkeeping, and we just want to fix those errors. And those errors are here. If you pick this page, it has a lot of these login providers. So I'm just going to delete them. And most of the errors are going to go away. If you also click on sign up, you delete that. No social account. We're simply doing email authentication, just email authentication. Okay, there are no errors now. And the other thing that you want to do is you want to make sure you go to your Firebase and you go to authentication and you have that turned on as well. I already did that. So as you can see, I already have that set up. All you need to do is click on add a new provider and add email password. It's a very, very quick step. Very, very simple, okay? Now that we've done that, let's go back to our app and continue building. Okay, so we have this. And now let's go ahead and assume that the person signed in and they're going to see the home page. Okay, so now on this home page, what we're going to have is we're going to have a screen that looks something like this. It's going to be a grid of languages, basically a flag of the language followed by the name of the language, the name of the country. And basically it's going to look like this. It's going to have the flag followed by the name of the language. So if you come back here, and we come in here to this widget tree, we have a column here. What we want to do is we want to add a grid. You can simply search for a grid view. And now we have a grid. Inside the grid, we're going to create a column. And inside the column, we're going to have two fields. We're going to have an image followed by the text. Okay, so the idea is they're gonna be kind of stacked. We're going to have an image on top followed by the text because this is a column. If this was a row, they would have been horizontally. Instead, they're vertically. We can make maybe the text, we can just make it a little bit of padding on top, so there's a little bit of a space. And now we have a grid view. Now we need to power this grid view with the data. We need to have it powered by data. Okay, so if we come in here, we pick the grid view, and we come in here to the backend query, we can do a query collection, but we don't have any collection except users yet. Okay, and that is because we need to come in here to Firestore, and we need to create a collection and a sub-collection. So I'm going to do that right now. This is going to be called languages, and we only have two fields, I believe, and that is the name of the language, name string, and the flag. I always make sure to show the flags anytime I'm building any kind of travel app or language learning app, anything having to do with the country. And this is going to be an image path. And next, we're going to create a sub-collection. This is going to be flashcards for that specific language, sub-collection of languages, create. And here we are going to have a couple of fields. It's going to be English word, which is our base language, okay, which is a string, followed by the foreign word. Okay, foreign word is also string. And the idea here is that depending on which collection of language, like if this is German, this foreign word is obviously going to be in German. If this is Spanish, it's going to be a Spanish word, and on and on. The other thing we need to do is we need to go to users, and what I want to do is I want to create another field inside users called scene flashcards. And the idea, this is going to be a list of flashcard references. It's going to be an array of flashcard references. And once we are showing flashcards, we want to make sure that we track of which flashcards the user has seen. That way we won't be showing to them again. So we're going to add a field. We're going to say seen flashcards. This is going to be a document reference of users, and it's going to be a list. Okay. So now we can track which flashcards the individual user has seen or not. So the schema is complete. The schema is done. Let's go back to the page and let's build out this grid view here. This is going to be a query collection. This is going to be languages, list of documents, and we're going to say confirm. Okay, so now it automatically creates kind of a grid view of four documents, four languages. That is because we only have 4 languages. Now, one thing you want to understand is when you're building this grid view, you can specify a vertical axis or horizontal axis. So this is a horizontal axis. It builds it in horizontal direction. Or you can do a vertical axis. Now, you can also do your spacing here. You can make it a little bit tighter, right? So this is a vertical axis. And main axis means vertical, means whatever you have it here. Cross axis is the other one. So if this is vertical, this main axis means vertical spacing. And cross-axis spacing means horizontal spacing. And so you can adjust the spacing. We have it vertical, so I'm adjusting a little bit of a spacing here. You see how the vertical spacing is adjusting. And here we have cross-axis spacing. This is going to be horizontal spacing. You can make it a little bit tighter if you want. And typically for this page, you want it kind of tight, right? You don't want it to be like crazy spaced out because on this page, it's fairly tight, right? There's some padding inside, right? Because this looks like it could be a container, but the spacing between individual cells is fairly minimal, okay? And that's kind of what you want. And so this is kind of what we have. And yeah, we can create, instead of a column, we can have a container, or we can even have a card inside it. So we may do that later on. I'm just keeping things simple. And maybe for the grid view, we want to space it out up on top. That looks about right. Yeah, that looks good. Maybe a little bit of spacing so it's not all the way on top. We'll fix it up later, right? Right now, I just want to get the logic working. With the design, we can always do that later. All right, so we have the grid view, and now let's put the images and put the text. So we're going to click on the image. We're going to say set from variable. We're going to say languages document. We're going to pick flag. And this text here, we're going to say set from variable and languages document name. Okay, and so now we can run this app. We're going to log in, and we're going to see all the languages that we can pick. So let's run this app and see if it does what we want. All right, so here's the app. I actually went ahead and made sure that there are only 2 things showing up because I went here and I saw that there are actually 2, not 3. So that looks a lot better. Okay, so we have the cross-axis count 2, right? It was 3 before. And as you can see, now it's displaying 2 on the cross-axis, which is the horizontal axis. And so this works perfectly. So this page is done. Now, the next page we want to build is the actual flashcards. And the idea here is it's going to look kind of something like this. We're going to have maybe 2 flashcards per row, you know, various bunch of rows here. And they're going to see the name. They're going to click on the flashcard, and they're going to see the translation depending on which language they are working with. Now, when it comes to FlutterFlow, there's no built-in flashcards functionality here. So that means we kind of have to build it out ourselves. Well, kind of, okay? It's actually very, very easy, but you want to pay close attention to how you do it because this is going to be an important skill that you can leverage in other places. So if you go to a site called pub.dev and you search for, let's say, Flipkart or flashcard, it's pretty much the same thing. You're going to see a lot of results. So here we have a bunch of results, and these are basically components that provide the Flipkart animation. So if I'm looking on this page, I'm seeing this first result has a ton of likes compared to these other pages. This also has a lot, but this is a credit card. Okay, this is different. Here's another one, but this one is the best, right? It has a lot of likes, a very, very high popularity. So we're going to go with this one. You're going to click on it. And once you click on it, you're going to be on this page. And look at this. It does exactly what we want. And you can even flip it left to right, top to bottom. There's lots of ways that you can do it. It's super customizable. And we are going to implement this flashcard or flipkart. I'm just going to be calling it flashcard from now on inside our app. So this is how you do it, okay? What you want to do is you want to go into example, right? And you're going to see an example of how to implement this functionality. This is actually a lot easier than it looks, okay? Do not get intimidated by looking at this code, okay? So we're going to go back to our app. We're going to come in here to this custom function tab. and we're going to go to custom widgets, and we're going to create a custom widget. We're going to call it FlashCard. You have this view boilerplate code, and so we can click on it. And once you click on it, you can kind of ignore what it says. All you need to do is copy to editor, and you just copied it. Okay, now what you have is basically a boilerplate, meaning like a template for this specific widget. But this widget doesn't do anything. All this widget does is returns a blank container. That's not good enough. That's not what we want. Now, if you come back to this example page here, what you guys want to be looking at, and this is a very, very quick thing, and if you learn this right now, it's going to be useful to you guys for the rest of your life, okay? What you're looking for is, if you look at this home page, this is my app. It doesn't do anything. That's it. This is all it is, okay? What this does is it includes this home page. So if you look at this home page, this is the home page. And if you scroll down, right? If you scroll down here, this is where it returns this widget, this flip card. And what we are looking for here is we are looking how it actually renders the flip card. Like, where does it get, where does it get kind of what we want, what it needs to get. And the way it renders it is this render content. Now, if you go back to render content, it returns this thing. It returns a card, and this card has a child. It has a bunch of other properties, but it has a child called flip card. This is what you want. So the card is built into FlutterFlow, but the flip card is this functionality that's included in this library. So what we're going to do is we're going to select everything inside this render content function. So I'm going to start from right here, right? So if I select all of this, I'm basically selecting everything inside this function, because this is what we want. We want this flip card, but the card is nice too. We can use the card functionality. So I'm going to copy it, Command C. I'm going to go back inside my app, and you see where it says return container. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to paste what we just copied. I'm going to paste it, okay? And this returns a card now. Now, you can click on this. That's going to nicely format it, which is always nice. And right away, you're going to see some errors. So you see those two errors? You don't have to worry about the errors, but you do need to do the following steps. So if we go back here, this is something you have to do all the time. You're going to copy this, click on this. It's going to copy something to clipboard. It's called dependency. You're going to say add dependency. You're going to paste this. You need this all the time. And now you can ignore these two errors, because this editor here does not know that we included this dependency. Now, there's one more thing that you guys need to do. You need to go back here, and you need to copy. You can copy these two, but you really need just this one here. Material is included automatically by FlutterFlow. You don't need this, but you do need this thing here. And the way you know you need to copy something is when you see, this is kind of a rough rule, is when you see this thing, this text here matches this text here. That means it's a component, and we need to copy. So we're going to copy this, go back up, and paste it all the way as one of the first lines. In fact, the first line, okay? So it gives us an error. You don't have to worry about this error just yet. Now, what you want to do is you want to say compile and preview, okay? So let's do that. We're going to say compile and preview. And this is really the moment of truth. If it compiles correctly, then the steps you followed are absolutely correct. If it does not compile, then you need to go back and check if you followed the steps correctly or not. All right, so this is the preview mode, okay? The first thing you want to do is you want to increase the size of the widget that we're building. We are seeing something, but we're not sure. So let's make this 600, and now it's something bigger. Let's make it 1,000. Okay, that's probably too much. Let's make it 800. And let's increase the height to 600. And guess what we see? We see a widget. Now, if you click on it, you see how it flips back. And so, congratulations. You've just successfully built and compiled and integrated this third-party code. And now you have a widget that you can use. Look how nice it is. Okay? So it has some built-in text. We're going to work on that in a second. But right now, this widget does exactly what we wanted to do. We're going to hit save. Okay? So now you have a flashcard widget that you can use. Okay, so let me show you what that means. If you go back to your pages here, let's go ahead and create a new page, and we're going to call this flashcards. Okay, this is going to be also a blank page. And on this page, we're going to go back to this widget tree column, and we're going to add the grid view again, another grid view. Lots of grid views in today's tutorial. We're going to add the grid view here. And inside the grid view, we're going to have our widget. So you're going to go to grid view, add, and come in here and add this flashcard widget. Okay, so this flashcard widget, this is kind of where it is. Let's go back to the grid view and let's make sure we have it set to vertical, main axis spacing. We can set it a little bit smaller. We can make it a little bit bigger. We're going to have maybe 2 flashcards. So we're going to have cross-axis count of 2, 1, 2 here. And you have some more spacing here. Let's minimize it. Let's go back to the flashcard and let's increase the width. Okay, let's increase the height. And now it's kind of showing up, right? It's showing up. Let's make it a little bit more. Okay, so 300 by 300. This is good enough, right? Because we're going to decrease the size of the text, okay? And before we do that, let's go ahead and load this page with the flashcard. So we're going to come in here. We can change this page title. We can say flashcards. We can also say the name of the language. We're going to do that later. And let's add a back button. And let's call it flashcards. Maybe they want to go back and change the language they're working with. We're going to say flashcards. And this is going to be icon button. We're going to say add an action, navigation back. Okay. So right away that's done. I also want to add the bottom bar. So we're going to come nav bar. We're going to come here. It needs at least 2 pages. So we're going to do that for home page as well. We're going to add a nav bar. Now let's do the icons. For the home page, it's home. For flashcard, let's do it something else. Let's search for card. I'm not really good when it comes to picking icons, but that should probably be the least of your worries typically. Is there something called flash? Okay, how about this? Something like this, okay? So we have flash and we have home. And now let's go load it up. We're only seeing 1, but we should be seeing a lot depending on the language that we pick. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to pass the language ID, the language reference, whatever. It's going to be a language reference here. So on the home page, let's go back here. And if they click on a column here, right? If they click on a column, which is this whole thing here, what we want to do is we want to pass a parameter, right? So we're going to add an action. We're going to do navigation, navigate to flashcard. Let's add a parameter. Let's define a parameter. The parameter is going to be ref language reference or language ref. Okay, and this is going to be a document reference from the languages collection confirm. All right, so now we are going to pass the parameter. We're going to say language ref. And this is going to be reference. Okay, so now the second page, this flashcard page, knows which language to work with. Okay, so we have the parameter, we have the language ref, and now let's go ahead and load this up. So we're going to go to grid view. We are going to come in here back in query. We're going to say query collection, flashcards, value from variable. This is the language, right? We need to specify language ref. And now we have a list of documents. I am going to say confirm. And now we have a bunch of flashcards. But the problem is, right now, this widget only accepts 2 parameters, the width and height, the size. But we actually need to populate it with the back and front word. And the way we want to do it is we want the front to be the foreign language. And then once they click on it, the back is going to contain English. Okay, so what that means is we need to go back to our custom widget here. Click on edit, and now if you scroll down, you have the front part and you have the back part. Now, as you can see, the front part has 2 texts. These are children inside a column, so they are one below the other. So we have a headline for the front and we have a body text. So the headline is going to be huge. So I'm going to delete this headline and I'm going to delete it here as well. And now we only have just the text. This is body text 1, so it's going to be fairly small. If you select this and delete it, you're going to see all the options. So we can make body medium. Let's do body medium. I don't even know how big is that, but let's try that. Body medium. And what we need to do is we need to add a couple of more parameters, okay? So the first parameter we're going to be adding is called front text. This is the text that's going to appear on when you look at the flashcard before clicking it. It's going to say front text. This is going to be string. we're going to add another parameter, backtext. Backtext is also string. So we added 2 parameters, and what you guys want to do is you want to add them in a couple of places. Very simple. This front text, this backtext. Next, you're going to add them here. Final string front text. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it. Backtext. Very easy. Okay? Now we added front text, backtext, and now this is part of the widget. Now we can reference it here. And of course, we do not want to see click here to flip back. We want to delete that. This is front, and we want to type widget.frontText. Okay? This is kind of what we want. Now we're going to get, now it's not going to like it because this is a nullable field, so you want to do something like this. Okay? That's going to make it happy. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to remove the static text, and you're going to say widget backtext like this. Okay? And what this essentially means is that instead of that static text, it says, click here to flip the flip card, we want to display the text that we're passing through the parameter from the app. Okay? What this does is basically saying, this is for whatever reason null, because this is nullable, meaning that we might forget to pass it, or something might happen, and it's a null field. Basically, it's not. It doesn't have anything. That's what null means. It doesn't contain anything. If it's null, just display an empty field. That's all you have to do. Okay? That's very, very common practice. Now we're gonna hit save, and now we have 2 more parameters. We're gonna hit compile, and if everything is right, and I'm sure it is, it's gonna compile perfectly. Okay? All right. So it looks like there are no errors, which is what we expected. And now we can go back to the app. And now back here on the flashcard page, we can see that we have 2 variables that we can pass to our custom widget here. And that is the front text and the back text. And so the front text is going to be the foreign language word, and the back text is going to be the English word. And the idea is they're going to see the foreign language word. They're going to think how it translates to English. They're going to click on it and then compare with what they thought. So this is going to be the flashcards document. I'm going to say foreign word, and this is going to be the back text, and this is going to be the English word. All right? And so now we have 2 flashcards per row, and they are going to have the content populated from the database. So let's go ahead and run this app, and let's see if it works. All right, so here's our app. We are at the front screen here, this main homepage. We have the languages. We have the nav bar here. And so let's say we want Spanish. We're going to hit Spanish, and we see a bunch of flashcards. And so we have the Spanish word, la calle, por favor, la mesa. And we can click. Let's say we're thinking about, what does la mesa mean? We're going to click it, and it flips to table. What about por favor? We click it, and we say please. And we can obviously have more flashcards. We can kind of tighten that up. All of that is very, very easy to do. But as you can see, it does exactly what we want. We can go back, and let's say we want Portuguese. Okay, what does ligar mean? We can click on that to call. What la rua? Click on that, and we see street. Look at that, perfect. Works beautiful. And obviously we can change. It's a little bit too dark. The color here is dark. The text is dark, so the contrast is not very high contrast there. You want to make it a little bit higher contrast. Maybe make this a different color, maybe like beige or something like that, something lighter, obviously, and maybe increase the size of the text. So let's go ahead and do that now. So if you load up this widget, okay, you're going to see that it has a card, and the card has a color, but the card also has a child of a flip card, and that has the front and the back widgets. Okay, so that's a container, and that's a container, and that container has different colors. So let's say we want beige. You need to Google something like beige hex color, and you're going to be on a page that looks something like this, where you can find a nice color to use. So you have these light colors, you have various options here. And so let's say we want something light, maybe something like this. Yeah, maybe something yellowish, okay? That gives us a hex code of this. This is the hex code that we want. And so if we come in here, if we go back to the app, we have the hex code right here, okay? So all we need to do is paste it in here. Once you put the code here, you just want to prefix it with 2 Fs here, like I did now. And so you can replace it like this, remove this hash and 2 Fs, prefix it with 2 Fs. And now you have something like a light yellow, beige color that you can use, okay? So we're gonna say save, and we are gonna rerun the app. So we're gonna compile this code, rerun the app, and hopefully it's gonna be a nicer color, giving us better contrast. All right, so we ran it, we don't have any errors. Let's go ahead and create a test environment and see how the app, or more specifically, the flashcards look now. All right, so here's the app. Let's click on the language Spanish, and we see the flashcards. Okay, so it's a little bit better color. We can maybe add a border. We can add depth to it. There's lots of things that we can do. We can also increase the font. The way that you modify it is you got to go back to your widget, edit, and you can scroll down where it says text theme. Okay, and if you delete that, you're going to have these suggestions. So we had subtitle 2, we also had body text large, so you can possibly do body text large, or we can do, let's take a look at what we have. Let's cancel this. Let's come in here, flashcards, homepage, name, and let's go to body text. So we need to remember, we have title 1, 2, 3, subtitle 1, 2, body text. So we're not going to use body text because we're already using body text. Let's try title 3 or subtitle, any subtitle. So we can go back here, edit this, scroll down, find this text theme, this styling, and let's say I want body text 2. Let's try body text large. Let's try that. That's going to be nice and large. Body text large. Okay. We're going to say compile and preview. All right, so we got no errors. If we go back here, we go to our page, flashcards, and let's run this, see how it looks. All right, so here's our improved version. If we click on Spanish, we can see the nice cards and they're not overflowing. We can click on something and we can see it. There it is. And there are all the flashcards. Here they are, okay? Now, the next thing I want to show you is I want to show you a quiz functionality. And basically the way this is going to work is that instead of clicking on the flashcard and seeing the result, they're going to see the flashcard and they'll be able to input the translation for the word. So maybe they're seeing a flashcard in the foreign language and they need to type the English translation, and then they're going to get a result if they're correct or not. So this is a little bit more involved, but this is a very good functionality and also a very good skill to have in order to implement this, because you can implement it in all other apps, other functionalities. So let's create a new page. We're going to say quiz, blank page. We're going to rename this to quiz. And the idea is we are going to display a couple of things. We're going to have a column. So first we're going to display a widget, this custom widget that we have. So this flashcard widget. Underneath, we are going to display the text that they can enter. So this is going to be text. We're going to say text field, and they're going to type something. So enter, I don't know, hint text, enter translation. And they're going to have also a button to kind of submit to see if they are, if they're right or not. So we're going to add a button here. And this button is going to be, let's pad it from the top. Let's say submit. Okay, so there's going to be the quiz, the translation, and submit. Okay, so the flashcard, we need to get the data from the database to show the individual kind of things that they're working on. So now let's configure our stuff. Okay, so we have the flashcard here. We need to enter the width and the height. So let's say we're going to do 400, the width, the height 500. So something like this. Maybe that's too big. We will see. And then translation, this is where they're entering the translation. And submit is going to actually create the workflow, okay? Now, there are a couple of things you guys need to understand. In order for us, when they click to submit, in order for us to check their answers, we need two variables. One variable to check against the other variable. So we have one variable, which is their input, but we also need to get the actual value, right? When you also need to get the actual value that we're checking. And that's going to be either the front or the back, depending on what we're doing, right? Now, before we can display the data, we need to pull the data. So we're going to do it on the quiz level, and we're going to say query type, query collection. We're going to be querying flashcards, but we want to make sure that we are filtering them that the user hasn't seen yet. So if you create a filter here, we can only filter by English word or foreign word. That's not good enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another field here inside our schema here into flashcards, and this is going to be the UID, the reference of this specific flashcard. That way we can filter it on the user's level. So I'm going to add a new field. This is going to be ref ID. This is going to be a document reference, and this is going to be flashcards. Okay, we're going to create this. This is the reference to this thing here, and I'm going to also create it here. So I'm going to go to my Spanish collection, go to flashcards, and for each of these flashcards, I'm going to create a reference, this reference right here. So if you click on this, you have a reference here. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a field, and we're going to call this ref ID. This is going to be a reference. It's a reference to itself, essentially. That way we can filter it correctly, okay? Add field, copy this, ref ID, reference, add field, ref ID, reference, add field, ref ID, reference. Okay, so now all these flashcards in the Spanish subcollection, they have this ref ID that we can filter back to users. So let's go back to flashcards. We have this ref ID here. Now we can go back to the app, and now we can create our query here. We can come in here. We can do it at the quiz level. We're going to say query collection, flashcards. Let's say we want all the flashcards, single document, and we can do a query, a filter here by ref ID, not in, from variable, authenticated user, seen flashcards, confirm, confirm. And that means what we want is we only want to show the flashcards that authenticated user has not seen. Let's do our Firestore indexes here because we are doing some interesting queries here. And let's go back. That is kind of what we have here. And now we need to create the flow, okay? But before we do that, we need to make sure this flashcard is set up correctly. So the from text is going to be the foreign language, foreign word. The back text is going to be the English word, okay? So that's kind of how it looks. We're going to enter translation. Let's change enter field here to input answer. And here's where we're going to create the flow. We're going to open the flow editor. And what we want to do is we want to create a condition. So we want to create a condition. And the condition here is going to be first value is the answer. Is the answer equal to whatever the answer should be in the widget? So widget state, input answer to the back value here, right? From variable, come in here, flashcards document, English word, because English word is the back value. We're going to come in here, okay? If it's true, we're going to add an action and we're going to have a snack bar, show a snack bar. You can kind of do what you want. Specific value, correct. You can do that. And we are going to say 3 seconds, 3000 milliseconds. If it's false, let's copy this action. Let's come in here. Let's paste the action. Wrong, incorrect, incorrect, and 3000, something like this. Next, we're going to add the value into this, into our authenticated user that we have seen that flashcard. We're going to come in here, add an action. We are going to go to database, update document. This is going to be authenticated user, reference. Field is going to be not email. It's going to be seen flashcards. We're going to add to set flashcards document ref ID, okay? Or reference. Actually, let's do reference. That is kind of the main one. A reference. Okay, so now it's not going to show again. Then we're going to refresh the page. Add action. And we are going to navigate to quiz. Let's do an instant. We're going to refresh. And that way we can see the next flashcard. Okay, we're going to come in here. That's kind of what we have. Let's run it. Let's actually put a navbar here. And this is going to be a quiz. Oh, let's do something like this. That's an equalizer. Actually, I don't know. That's the best one. Question mark. I don't know. What's a quiz? Test. Test. I'm so bad with these icons. Let's see what we can use. Maybe something like this. I don't know. That looks like a quiz. Maybe a timer for the quiz. You guys can probably come up with a better one. And so let's run this and see if it works. All right, so here's our app. This is our home page. This is our quiz section. And now it's showing us the foreign language word. And we need to type the English translation. And it's going to match it against the English translation. So I know this means to call. I'm going to say to call, submit. It says correct. It loads the new one. This is table. This is also correct. And let's say I forget what this is. I forget this term. So I'm going to type whatever. I'm going to type something random. I submit, and it says incorrect. But it keeps showing us the next one. And the idea here is that you can have some kind of logic here, math logic, meaning that, you know, how many were shown, how many are correct, or you can show something else. And now, por favor, I can say please, and that's going to be correct. And now, if we go back here, you will see we have seen flashcards, and these are the flashcards that we have seen. So the idea is we're not going to be shown those flashcards, and we might have an option inside the app where we can go to the quiz. We can have an option, something like reset. Basically, reset flashcards, start over, right? So we can have a button here that says start over. Maybe that button is going to be here, maybe it's going to be here, and that button, we're going to delete all the stuff, all the elements in that array. That way it's going to show everything again. And that is how you build a flashcard powered learning app. So obviously there's lots more things that you guys can do. It's really up to your imagination. You can change the color, you can change this, you can change everything. And if you guys do not want to build this app from scratch like I did here, you can get the code and you can clone and view this app as well as my previous apps on my Patreon page, which you're going to see in the link below in the description. You can just sign up and you can simply clone this app and you can do whatever you want with this app. You guys have full permission to modify it, make it a commercial app, make it to any kind of app that you want. Really, the limit is your imagination. So if you have any questions or concerns, I would highly recommend you to leave them below this video, or you can leave them on the Patreon page if you are a member. And also, guys, on September 1st, I'm going to be having a live stream where I'm going to be talking about different things of FlutterFlow. We're going to be answering questions, talking to you guys, things I like, things I don't like. It's going to be a comprehensive video. We're going to be building a simple app. And so if you want to view that tutorial, if you want to be part of that live stream, definitely check out the Patreon page and you'll be able to either participate live or view a replay at a later date if you cannot, for any reason, attend the live stream. And so that is all that I wanted to show you guys in today's video. We have a login, we have a home page showing us different languages, we have the flashcards for each of those languages, as well as an interactive quiz. So there's lots of things that you can do with this kind of app. I really hope you've gotten value here. Check out the Patreon page if you want to view and clone these apps. As well, if you want to support this channel, it really, really helps a lot. That way I can go out and make awesome, informative, and helpful videos for you when it comes to FlutterFlow and any other no-code tools. So having said that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in a future video.